Okay guys, hello, thanks for watching, by the way. That Random Comic Fan 10 here, and I will be doing my review on the Daredevil Season 1 on Netflix. I finished it sometime this week, but I was too busy to catch up and do the review. So I'm doing the review now, of course, and I just wanted to talk about my thoughts on it. Um, this one, I'll put a time. I'm going to talk about it without spoilers, and then I'm going to bring in spoilers. So I'll have a time that you can skip to in the video if you want to skip to the spoilers. Then a time for you to end at if you don't want the spoilers, okay? So right now, this is not non-spoilers. So overall, I thought it was a great series. It really, I thought it was going to be kind of like Batman Begins, but it wasn't. It was a completely different take on the character Daredevil, which I thought was really cool, because most of the superheroes right now are kind of Batman-ish, but Daredevil, and I'm saying this in like the best way possible, it's kind of like the poor man's Batman, and you would think that'd been at kind of a disadvantage, but it's still an awesome series, awesome cast. I care about all the characters, and I'm just really interested to see where it goes from here. Lots of comic book references. I'm not gonna say any, of course, but I just think it's such a good series, and the tone it has to it is similar to that of Gotham, and that's in a good way. It is pretty like graphic at some parts though, and the TV series is just like really Frank Miller-ish, and I love that. The outfit that he wears until like a certain episode in season 1 is completely inspired from the Frank Miller costume. It's not really a spoiler because they showed it in the trailer and everything, so I'll put a picture up so you guys can compare. But he doesn't start off with his costume right away, and the best part about this costume is it wasn't anything like spectacular about it. I love it mostly because of the simplicity of it. I mean, it seems like this costume right here, I could like buy that off the internet. Unlike a Spider-Man outfit, like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man outfit, or Christian Bale's Batman outfit, that seems like I could never make or buy anything close to that. But as to the Daredevil costume, I can. Daredevil technically, like, he has advanced abilities for a human, but he doesn't really have any powers, and they really play on that. Like, because of that, you know how it goes. In the comics, since he's blinded, all his other senses are enhanced. And that really helps him because, you know, he has enhanced hearing. I think in comics at one point it said that he had like enhanced like smelling or something, but that wasn't really used a whole lot in TV show. There was something with this isn't really a spoiler because it's like it doesn't play a big part, but it shows him younger, and he's learning how to use his abilities, and he eats like ice cream, and he can like taste and distinguish everything of the ice cream, which is also a really cool feature. And his hearing is like his biggest ally in the TV series. And then talking about other characters, they have Karen Page, Foggy, of course, and the Kingpin, which there's nothing spectacular about the other characters. Ben Urich is also in here, and he's portrayed by an African American in this. I'll talk about him and Kingpin before I get onto the spoiler stuff. So Kingpin, he was so good. Like, Kingpin alone could have his own series. He was just so well written. It's amazing. Like, it's an amazing thing when you can feel sympathy for the villain too, or see things from the villain's point of view. I mean, he's still the villain in the end, of course, but you just don't feel exactly like he's the villain because of all the certain circumstances and situations he's been put in. So you can just kind of relate to the villain more in that sense, which makes it overall just a unique story, because you're thinking to yourself, is he really the villain here? The city is like really realistic Hell's Kitchen, and that kind of gives me a good vibe. I will warn you, for like younger audience, it is a pretty gruesome show. If it was a movie, it'd probably be rated R or so, either a really hard PG-13 or an R. But I love it. The grittiness and harsh words, violence of it makes it seem just that much more like a Frank Miller story. And yeah, just an awesome series. You should check it out if you haven't already. Now, spoiler warning. This is going to be the spoiler section of it. Okay. Right here, I'm going to give you guys time to click off this video. 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay. Now, since they're all gone, I'm going to continue on with the spoiler side of this. So this was a great story. For the people who have seen it, as I said, it seemed really Frank Miller-ish. And that's a very unique concept and all. I like it. Outfit was even inspired from the Frank Miller comic book, Daredevil. And we have not seen Elektra yet, which there was speculation on as to whether she'd be in here, but we have not heard anything of. Well, we have heard of her, but she's only referred to as a girl that Daredevil dated in high school. So her character has not been introduced. Ben Urich is like the reporter. In comics, you know, he worked for the Daily Bugle, but this show, I guess it was being produced before they got the rights to Spider-Man. So he works at a completely different area. And basically, the plot of this whole show is Matt Murdock, Daredevil, is a blind lawyer slash vigilante, and he wants to clean up his city. Who does that sound like? It's kind of like, basically, if you guys watch Arrow, for like the Marvel and DC fans like myself, it's kind of like that dynamic. But so he's just trying to clean up his city, but basically Wilson Fisk, who we all know him as the Kingpin, has like tight holds on the city where he basically owns like everyone. So he can manipulate them to do whatever he wants. Like he owns the cops, he owns the hospital. He basically owns everyone and everything in Hell's Kitchen. And he says that he wants to clean up at the cities as well, but he's doing it more with like what he calls controlled crime, which still affects and kills people. So Daredevil is against that. Daredevil also has the no-kill rule, but there's been like you can see him struggling with this because in this, which I think is an interesting concept, Daredevil is a superhero who's also Catholic. And because of that, his religion kind of gets in the way of how he does things. Which I've never really seen that in a superhero movie. I'm not sure if any of you guys have, but it's just, I find that kind of cool because, like Batman, you don't really see him talking about religion a whole lot. Iron Man is believed to be an atheist in comics, and in film probably. And, yeah, there's like not really been a superhero who has religion that gets in the way of how they fight. So you can see him kind of struggling with this. And you get to see the connection between him and his father. And it was done so much better than in the movie, because you get to see the father in scenes, and it actually seems like a believable son and father relationship. So once you see his father like finally get killed off by the Kingpin, you kind of like can see where his motives come from. So being blinded in all of this has just added more depth to the character of that Daredevil is. And being able to hear someone's heartbeat and stuff like that are also features that he has, which is like, it's just such a cool thought, because it's believable. It's not like super powered or anything. Just a cool feature. Some Easter eggs that I caught was, for example, when he took down a bunch of the guards, there was a conversation between Kingpin and one of his assistants. And, no, it must have been one of Kingpin's assistants and some thugs, and they said, well, I don't know why we can't stop this guy. It's not like he has a magic hammer or a suit made out of iron. Obvious references to Iron Man and Thor. And Stark Tower can be seen in the background. Yeah, so a few references there. In the way, oh, also, Ben Urich, he had wrote this old newspaper called the Battle of New York, which is referring to the Avengers and shows pictures of the Avengers, which kind of gets me excited. I mean, how cool would it be if Daredevil could be involved in Civil War or so? I would really like to see that. I don't think it's gonna happen, honestly, but if it did, I would love that. So overall, if you haven't checked out the series, I really would. Season 1 is really good. And yeah, getting on with a few more spoilers. Wilson Fisk, of course. Wilson Fisk, his character is done so well because like in comics, you always know him as kind of like this just brooding character, kind of like a slick, slimy guy. But in this, he has more of a backstory and personality, which just adds more depth to him because underneath like this big illegal like dealer kind of, he's like this really antisocial guy who's never fallen in love before. So it's an interesting dynamic to see because all the villains that we've seen before are usually people who are very intact with who they are. But Kingpin, he doesn't really know who he is. He hasn't really developed any social techniques as other villains have. As to like Lex Luthor and Kingpin get like compared a lot because they're really similar characters. That's why I'm comparing them. Lex Luthor is one of those characters who can get everyone on his side because he grew up with the press and everything. But Wilson Fisk in this TV show, like no one's even is allowed to say his name until a certain episode when he comes out himself. So he's been in the shadows for a while, unlike other supervillains, and just makes him all the much better of a villain. And just like it's really good. I would check it out. I give it 8 out of 10. I can't wait for season 2 to be released. I want to see where it goes from there. That Random Comic Fan 10 out. Thanks for watching and tell me your thoughts on the series down below if you've seen it.